The 3 best travel gimbals on the market with AA functionality, the Insta360 Flow Pro, the OM6 with the brand new firmware update fixing a lot of the issues, and of course the Hohem iSteady V3, the only gimbal with the hardware AI. First, I want to address the elephant in the room, and that's the visible motors when the phone is balanced correctly. When you position the phone horizontally, it shouldn't move, and when you rotate it vertically, it shouldn't move at all. That means that the phone is balanced correctly. You cannot see any of the motors because Samsung did an amazing design and they mounted the ultra-wide angle lens right here on the top. But with the iPhone, the ultra-wide angle lens is right here on the bottom. Here is how it looks when you balance the iPhone. I'm using iPhone 14 Pro. As you can see, the motors are extremely visible. No matter do you use the portrait or the landscape mode, you all the time can see the motors. But that is not the worst issue. The clamp that comes with the default package is really thick and presses all the buttons when you move the phone. Power button is pressed, here the sound buttons are really pressed, and
current volume is 0.
Even I managed to turn on the Siri. I don't understand why did they make those rubber pads that thick. Maybe one solution is to rip them off, and in that way the clamp will work good. For the iPhone users, you can purchase additionally the MagSafe clamp where you not have those issues, but it costs additionally 30 euros from Amazon. With the DJI OM6 you have the same issues with the motors being visible, but DJI solved the issue by allowing you to mount counterweight. You have a small screw hole you can purchase from Amazon. Small counterweight for around $10–15 is really cheap and inexpensive, and you just screw it to the gimbal. And the only gimbal where you don't have to do some weird mambo jumbo so the motors are not visible is the Hohem. Horizontally or vertically, when the phone is well balanced, the motors are not visible.
The next huge difference between the three gimbals is the range of motion of the tilt motor. The biggest range has the Hohem, and the one that hardly can move is the Insta360. Next, we put the gimbals to the extreme test of stabilization so we can see which one is doing better. One of the reasons why the difference doesn't look that big is because the iPhone has an amazing stabilization and is complementing the gimbal stabilization. When you look carefully, you can see that Hohem is the smoothest, after that is coming the DJI, and on the last place is the Insta360. The reason Insta360 is more shaky is the limited tilt motor. You have to hold the gimbal vertical the whole time.
I can't believe I'm saying it, but the DJI just burned. When I turn it on, the motors are doing some weird sounds. In some moment it's becoming better, but still in some of the positions the motors are roaring like crazy. The most weird thing is that this is happening to me for a second time. First it happened with the OM5, it burned maybe after around 2 years, and that one burned exactly 1 year and 11 months. I'm extremely lucky that the warranty in the European Union is 2 years, and I was just on the phone with Amazon and they will give me 100% reimbursement. Now let's check which tracking works the best. With the DJI you have to use the Mimo application. And right now I have an Android phone. With a front-facing camera I have no issues, but at the moment I rotate to the back camera I have access only to the 1x lens. That means that for the Android phones the Mimo gimbal is completely unusable because you cannot really use the tracking. With the Insta360 Flow the situation is a little bit better. You can track in their application, but you can also share the screen and use the default camera application, and it works relatively better. With the Hohem the situation is much better because here we have a hardware AI, and no matter what we upload to the gimbal, the AI can track anything. You can mount it front facing or back facing. At the moment I mounted a potato here because I didn't have a free phone. Let's turn the tracking on and see which gimbal tracks me better. With those two you can just press the trigger button once and it will immediately find your face and start tracking you. With the Hohem is much easier, just show the OK sign. All gimbals are tracking me at the moment. Left, right, left. Let's find an obstacle. height, pop back again. Okay, not a bad tracking of all of them. Let's do it one more time. Let's hide behind the wall. We lost the Insta360. Let's try to pop back in the frame. Okay, it found me. Obviously the gimbal over-rotated in some way. Going further away. I just connected the Samsung to the Insta360 Flow Pro and let's check what is available. Let's start with the tracking. Selfie mode. Tracking works without any issues. With the front-facing camera we have access to 3 of the lenses. Weirdly, it's written 0.7 instead of 0.6, but we have the ultra-wide angle, we have the 1x, and when we start zooming digitally, we also have access to the 3x. So if we zoom to 5x, we can see that it's activating the 3x camera, but it's not truly activating the real 5x camera. The 5x camera is here. If I zoom to the 10x, okay, now we activated the 5x camera. When using an Android phone with the Hohem, the situation is much better. You directly have access to the 0.6, which is the normal lens, the 1x and the 5x. You're just missing the 3x lens, which is not a problem, especially when you're using the tracking, because you can use the native camera application, activate the tracking, and the gimbal will just do the job no matter which application you use. It's really a huge advantage having the tracking as a hardware device because you can use it with any phone, with any application and get the best video quality every single time. It's amazing for any solo traveler because you can just stop somebody on the street and ask him to record a video for you with the gimbal. You just show the OK sign and the gimbal does the heavy lifting. Even if the person has zero experience filming videos, the result will be really good. Let's have a closer look how the gimbals are built and the position of the buttons. As you can see, the DJI and the Hohem, they look very similar, and when you hold them in your hand, they're also very similar and very comfortable. With both gimbals, the buttons are positioned on the ideal place. You can easily reach them with your thumb, and the trigger button is right here, very comfortable as well. Hohem looks much smaller than the DJI, but has much bigger battery and the operation time is mostly double than what you get with the DJI OM6. The ergonomic situation with the Insta360 is not that simple. The gimbal is actually 2 pipes connected together. When the legs are not extended, it feels extremely uncomfortable in your hand, and usually I put my little finger as a support. It's very uncomfortable. The buttons are really hard to reach and I always have to do some weird moves with my thumbs. When you extend the legs, the situation is a little bit better, but the problem is that with the time they're becoming very loose and they're just flapping around. So you have the same issue as the version 1. DJI and Insta360 turn on automatically when you open them and you put the phone. With the Hohem, you have to manually turn on the gimbal. But that gimbal has a hidden feature. You have a really nice remote control. You can control any aspect of the gimbal. On the side you have a small button and that's actually the trigger. When you press it 2 times you reset the position. If you press it 3 times it rotates the gimbal to selfie mode. So with that small remote control you can control any function of the gimbal. All 3 of the gimbals support digital zoom when you're using the application and all of them do it in a different way. With OM6 you have a rotating button which you can rotate 360 degrees and you can press. Insta360 has a wheel that rotates just a little bit left and right and the zoom is really smooth with it. Hohem took another approach and it's using 2 buttons. To go through the different gimbal modes, DJI and Hohem have a button. Insta360 decided to do something else and it has a touch screen. With version 2 it's much more sensitive and misses less, but still 10-15% of the time the gimbal doesn't switch. And especially if you have gloves or you're under the rain, that thing doesn't work. On the side, all of them have USB-C. Insta360 can charge your phone, Hohem can charge also your phone. Another difference is that the Insta can rotate 360 degrees and the DJI and the Hohem, they rotate around 270 degrees. They are limited. A small advantage Insta has is the port right here. It's a cold through mount and you can mount different accessories, especially helpful for wireless microphones. Something the other two gimbals don't have is integrated light. On the left side of Hohem, you have a switch with which you can turn on the light on the AI sensor. You just press and hold and the lights will turn on. You can control the power and you can control the temperature. Which gimbal is better and which one would I recommend you? Let's start with the Insta360. That gimbal has the best software on the market and the best user experience. The application and the software are really top-notch. But the hardware on the other side is tragic. They truly fixed a lot of the issues from the previous version. Their tripod legs are not flapping anymore and they're more stable. And they feel much more secure. The touchscreen for the mode button works much better than the previous version, but it's still a touch and sometimes it misses. If your hands are wet, it will not work, but those are some extreme cases. My biggest issue is the tilt axe. How is it possible that a company that can create such a great user experience will limit so much the tilt axe? It feels like glorified selfie stick with amazing AI tracking. That works only for iPhone. Hohem fixes all of the issues that the DJI has, plus it didn't burn. That gimbal is already unusable, so let's focus on the Hohem. Their application can definitely be improved, but a huge plus that none of the other companies has is that it works consistently across the board. You get mostly the same experience as Android user as an iPhone user. Plus, they have amazing hardware and gives you much better range of motion, which leads to more cinematic videos, more stable footage, because while you're running, you don't have to hold the gimbal horizontally. You can tilt it a little bit, and that tilt motion compensates a lot of vibrations. With the other two gimbals, it's not that easy to be achieved. Personally, for me, the way how I operate and use gimbals, Hohem is the better choice among those three. You get the same small form factor as the Insta360 Flow, much better hardware, and amazing tracking. I hope the video was helpful. See you in the next one. Bye!